Hello, this is Buddhism in 4 minutes by me, Mr. Finlayson. This is for my grade 11 study of religion class. We're looking at world religions through the scope of Ninian Smart's 7 dimensions of religion. Now, Buddhism is a 2,500-year-old tradition. It began in India and spread and diversified throughout the Far East. It's been known as a philosophy, a religion, a spiritual practice, and it is followed by more than 350 million people today. It is based on the teachings of one Prince Siddhartha Gautama, who later became known as the Buddha. Now, before the prince's birth, his mum, Queen Maya, dreamt that a white elephant blessed her with his trunk. This was a very auspicious sign. And indeed, the story says that when the prince was born on the road to Lumbini in 563 BCE, he was walking at his birth, and everywhere his feet tread, lotus blossoms grew. He was raised as part of the Kshatriya caste of Hinduism, and it was foretold at his birth that he would either become a great emperor or a holy man who would change the world. Now, his father was keen for his son to be a great emperor, as part of the Kshatriya caste might be expected to do. He was married and had a child, but by the age of 29, he had become quite dissatisfied with his life and had taken to leaving the palace compound. At this time, we have what is known as the Four Encounters. This is where the young prince saw four different things that made him change the way he thought about the world. The first thing he saw was an old man, and the prince realized that all of us would one day grow old. And then he saw a sick and suffering man, and he realized that all of us one day would become sick and we would suffer. Then he saw a corpse and realized, in fact, that we would all one day die. The fourth encounter was when the prince saw a holy man who had nothing but appeared to be very happy. So the prince renounced his life of luxury, left the palace, and was determined to find the answer to the suffering of existence. He became an ascetic for 6 years. He completely got rid of all trappings of luxury, and he meditated, completely focused on trying to find the answer to suffering in life. Now, this didn't work. 6 years later, a young girl came to him and offered him some milk, and the Buddha realized that going from one extreme of luxury to the other extreme of asceticism wasn't the answer, and he devised what was known as the middle way. And this, it is said, is the moment he achieved enlightenment. He became known as the Buddha, the awakened one, and Shakyamuni, the silent lion. This is because the Lord Mara, the Lord of Illusion, supposedly at this time bombarded the young prince with temptation, sent his three daughters, the past, present, and future, but the Buddha was not enticed by any of this. He had disassociated himself completely from all desires and attachments. And after this, he began to teach and preach for 45 years. Now, Buddhism is comprised of something called the three jewels. And my students, I want you to think about why they might be called jewels. Why is that word significant? And the three jewels are the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And the Buddhists would say, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, and I take refuge in the Sangha. Buddha is the teacher, Dharma are the teachings, and the Sangha is the community. When we look at Ninian Smart's 7 dimensions of religion, I'm sure you can realize which ones match up with which of these three jewels. Now, the core teachings of Buddhism are the Four Noble Truths. The first noble truth is dukkha. To live is to suffer. The second noble truth is samudaya. The cause of suffering is our attachments or desire. The third noble truth is nirodha, that the cessation of suffering is achievable. This is called achieving nirvana. And magga is the fourth, that the cessation of suffering is achieved by following the Eightfold Path. Now, the Eightfold Path can be broken down into 3 different sections. To begin with, we have wisdom, and these are right understanding and right motivation. We have moral discipline, right speech, right action, right livelihood. And we have mental discipline, right effort, right mindfulness, and right meditation. I'm sure, again, you could see how these would fit in with Ninian Smart's 7 dimensions of religion. For example, I would place the Noble Eightfold Path within the ethical and legal dimension of religion, and it could even fit into the doctrinal dimension. Finally, what I want to have a look at in this quick video are the 5 precepts, and these are 5 rules for Buddhists to follow, and they are not to harm living beings, do not take what is not freely given, to avoid sexual misconduct, to avoid gossip and lying, and to avoid intoxicants. Again, I would place these within the ethical and legal dimensions of religion, but they are also interesting to know that a society or an institution within a religion might build up around these sorts of rules. But I'll leave that up to you to figure out the connections.